Welcome to That Japanese Thing. Today we're talking about Goku, Midnight Eye, or Midnight Eye Goku. It's not entirely clear what this anime is actually called. A weird, not quite cyberpunk, obviously, but weird experimental, futuristic-like anime from 1989. My name is Chris. Today with me is Yash and Dylan. Hey guys.
Hello.
What you guys been doing this week?
Hello.
I feel like I don't talk to Yash enough anymore since he's, on a different continent.
I've been going on extended walks in an attempt to remain fit. I'm exploring the local area because I don't have a driver's license. I've tasted what deep dish pizza's like now as well, so that was an experience for me.
You a fan?
Wow.
Because
Did you enjoy it?
Potentially alienate 30% of America if you're not.
I mean, I understand why people don't call it a pizza. It's certainly a pie.
Right.
But I mean, I liked it. I thought it was okay.
I mean, you are in Chicago, right? So
I am
That's
literally in
yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
So yes. Well, I mean, that's why I specifically hunted down a deep dish pizza. On the other side of the coin, perhaps because I am homesick, I found a Nando's, so I'm gonna order some Nando's.
Oh wow,
today,
there's like
probably.
only like 6 of those in the whole of the States, so well done on that.
And one of them is like in my little suburb, so.
Sure.
Cool. Was it okay? I've heard bad things about the ones in Florida.
I haven't had Nando's yet. I'm gonna order it
Okay.
today.
All right. Well, I hope it's good then. I mean, why wouldn't it be?
And Dylan?
Me, I went to a wedding yesterday. I went to JJ's wedding. JJ's gotten married, guys.
Really? Cool.
Yes.
Sweet.
It's true.
Good luck to JJ.
I know. I think it was good. It was very good. I enjoyed it. It was held in the Springs, and so.
So,
That's
for
interesting.
international viewers, Springs in South Africa is worse than Alice Springs in Australia. In terms of the human beings that live there. So it's
Well, I mean, there are some good shining ones that are there.
yeah,
Certainly.
Sure.
JJ was great.
But it is, and I think they would also gladly admit, a mad place.
I've survived
Yeah.
being there a few times. It's interesting.
Yeah, likewise. You just need to know the right route to take going in, otherwise it can get a little hairy. But yeah.
I experienced an entire comedy skit there. You know those old school physical comedy people doing a skit where something silly happens and then like the most ridiculous result occurs from it?
Yeah.
Someone dropped a 2-liter Coke bottle on the table during a braai at JJ's house, and I grabbed the top of it to stop it from like spraying out, and apparently had left a hole just big enough to specifically spray me in the face.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm sorry.
You also almost rolled your car with all of us in it when we were on the highway. Do you remember?
I lifted 2 wheels. I didn't roll.
Okay. Going down the highway, and then Yash was, "Oh, this is where we turn off." Oh,
I didn't even leave my lane.
Let's not overreact. We only got to like a yaw of 45 degrees, guys. We went close to rolling over.
We were like 5 degrees up.
Yash, you used to be a really dangerous driver. Oh,
Please
gosh.
calm down.
I'll remind you
Old
again,
age.
we didn't leave our lane markings the whole time. We were
Sure,
well
we
within
were well
regulation.
above them. It's not a technical ring out because we were in the air. Okay.
Sumo wrestler rules, guys.
I certainly don't do such things anymore.
Anyway, can't you just get a license in the US? Do you have to like do the test again and everything?
In a technical sense, I could get a temporary international license, but then any vehicle I get would have to be insured, and the insurance for international drivers is arbitrary and determined by profit margins, I suspect.
Right.
So, I'm unwilling to pay the equivalent of rent for a car.
I see. Okay.
like house rent.
Well, it's good for your health, and I don't know how expensive like Lyft and Uber are there, but I'm sure you're getting around.
I get around when I need to get around. Yeah.
So this is not a cult form at all. It's a miracle. Anyone found this? I think Dylan found it, right? Was it?
No, Greg found it.
Oh yeah, Greg.
Guys, we have Greg to blame for all of this. Let's just remember this as we go forwards.
I mean,
remember,
it
he
is.
said to us, Chris.
Yeah.
He said, for your next show, you must totally do Goku Midnight Eye. And then he looked at us with this grin, and we knew that we were in for a bad time.
I mean,
Anyway.
it's strange when there's something like anime related that me and Greg both haven't watched. So it is a gem, I suppose. But this must have been from people who grew up in the 90s will remember Sci-Fi. Was it Sci-Fi
Yes, yeah.
Network?
Sci-fi TV.
It might only be the Sci-Fi Network that was from the UK, though. I'm not sure if it was the same in America.
There
Well, not
is
the
a
90s.
Sci-Fi
Not the
in
90s.
US.
Early 2000s, right? Because the Sci-Fi was only from 1999 or something like that, right? I don't remember the details exactly, but they had like an anime slot every day. At like,
And they put quite choosy anime past 10 o'clock.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think it was like basically it started at 10, more or less, and then there would be like a normal anime, followed by a slightly less normal anime, followed by crazy stuff, followed by stuff we can't talk about on YouTube. basically,
Effectively
right?
softcore.
This would have been in that middle slot somewhere. It's not quite Legend of the Overfiend. Certainly not. I don't know what were the more normal ones, like Bubblegum Crisis. I guess was on there at some point.
Bubblegum Crisis wasn't too bad.
No, I'm just saying
Wasn't
that
too
would have been
spicy.
the normal one, right? That would be the normal.
Oh,
one,
yeah,
so
yeah.
It'd be like Nadesco
Yeah.
or Excel Saga or something like that, and then
Yes,
it would
yes,
go
yes,
downhill
yes.
from that point on.
Oh,
Depending
that
on
reminds me,
your
let's do Excel
perspective.
Saga,
Everyone-
guys.
Oh, you do have to do that at some point. That'd actually be a lot of fun. So this was... I looked at a few reviews of this just to see, is there a cult following? There's like 2 reviews on YouTube for it. No one in particular is really paying attention to this. It's not like someone... This was like huge back in the day or something. It's a OVA for 4 volumes of manga made into two movies which are not related to the manga in any way, except they use the same characters, as far as I understand. I didn't go and read the manga. I'm not going to do that. But what it is known for is its kind of crazy visuals. And I guess that's what we're here to talk about today. You'll see behind our talking heads. I've given you a rough idea of images that are okay to show on YouTube. Of what's going on, and one of them is a lady who is part motorcycle spitting a
Yes.
death laser out of her mouth.
Wow.
It's I think this is probably like Dragon Ball was doing well in the 80s.
Yep,
This is before
indeed.
Z was a thing, and I mean, obviously in Asia, Journey to the West is like a more well-known thing than it is here. So maybe someone just had a separate idea. I don't think so, though. This is like Goku's a real popular character, so I'm just gonna have Goku in big letters on my book, and I will give it a weird twist. So, like, the main character isn't really a hard-boiled detective, I would say. It's not 1920s, but he's like a rough guy. And I don't know. Someone else described his character. I didn't really concentrate on that part of the show.
He's yeah. Sorry, Yesh. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I was about to say you go ahead, but I'll just take a couple of words. He's a very sincere
Yes,
and
as you can tell,
straightforward
you still
fellow.
live in Canada, so. Well, we're going. Yeah.
He's a very sincere and straightforward fellow who doesn't wish to spend any more money on cleaning his shirts. So he roams
Right.
about in a jacket and tie with literally
It's
no
like
shirt.
it's just gonna get bullet holes in it, so might as well not wear it.
Yeah.
And his
Gonna get
approach
blood all
to
over it anyway.
and his approach to problems is primarily walking into the front door, spitting some nonsense at people, and finding out who's responding, and then actually doing proper investigations
I
on
think-
them after they respond.
I think the way he dresses is to look like Sun Wukong, right? Because he's supposed to be the
because
monkey.
the bare chest and like
monkey
yeah,
god,
yeah.
so
No,
it's supposed
I
to
mean
have, like, an
you
ape
can
chest,
you
right?
can almost see it. It's meant to be like he's in robes if you think about it as well.
And if you've read Journey to the West, or you've watched like something about it, you know, like he's got a headband. In this case, like his headband is like some cybernetic thing, right?
Hmm.
And he's
But he's
got
also
a
got a collar with a chain.
collar with a chain and an extender pole. He's got all the Goku accessories. There's no Nimbus. I suppose that is his car or whatever. I'm kind of surprising they left that one part out, but there again.
Well,
you know.
I think when he's swinging about on the pole, traveling through the air, it's supposed to be the Nimbus replacement.
Yeah.
Because he does fly through the air a lot.
I mean, he
on
does
the-
have
on
a
pole.
flying car, right? So maybe that's that.
That's also true. Yeah, and he's very much like the stereotypical hypermasculine archetype from the 80s. You know.
I just
Um,
I was kind of wondering, were people actually kind of like this in the 80s? I mean,
I don't
none of
know.
us were
I
old
don't
enough
think
to know
people-
this, but
I don't think in general human beings were like this unless they were like really trying to be macho.
yeah. But I mean, not
I mean,
like
you
not
still
like
get
we're
that today, to
not
be
where people were like literally like this, but like was this like the kind of ideal masculine prototype?
Certainly, I do think that
I-
was an ideal that existed. Yeah.
I mean, James Bond from the 80s, guys.
But you know, like James Bond had such a deep character compared to this man, Dylan. I mean,
I'm not.
I mean Archer.
I'm-
Archer has a better personality than this dude.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. I am just stating, like you asked me, like, was this really an archetype in the 80s? And it is. It
Yeah.
is.
You know, like James
know,
Bond
there's
is like
like,
telling the
what is a man
bartender how to
supposed
do
to be?
his job. You know, he's sophisticated. He knows how to do things. He wears cufflinks.
Sure. I mean, like James Bond is archetype plus sophistication. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to say that Magnum PI and Knight Rider were popular in this era, and like this guy is basically Knight Rider.
Oh, he literally ripped
yeah,
off
yeah.
Knight Rider, right? He even made the kit
Yeah.
in like the second
It,
film.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's just going to be spoilers throughout this, guys. So I mean, don't worry about the spoilers. That the spectacle of watching this anime is why you're here.
Yeah.
There's no plot.
If you want to watch them, pause this for 2 hours. Go watch the 2 movies that were made.
Before
They're both
anybody
an hour
does,
long.
Don't
Before
worry.
anybody
Don't worry
does
about
go
it.
watch
Don't
it.
worry. I'll put some visual up.
just be aware that there's a significant amount of nudity in these movies. Just letting you know before you get into it.
Yet it is on
Or
YouTube.
It is on YouTube. It is true. If you look look for this on YouTube, you will find. I'm not saying that it might be the right thing to do. I'm just saying that it's there, right?
But yeah, I don't know.
But
Like, so is it the same male protagonist in both these things?
correct, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So is his name Goku Ryu? Because they start
yeah.
calling him a different name in the second one.
So the second movie had 2 separate subtitles with different names in them. I don't know what happened there. I suspect that during licensing to the United States or something, they decided to use different names in their translation.
Yeah, they don't.
But I did see that
They don't
my
actually
subtitles
seem.
and my voice track were different.
Yeah, they don't seem related, like movie 1 and movie 2,
Yeah.
by any
Yeah.
anything except maybe
Well-
using the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was just like the next adventure, really. That's
Yeah.
the way that I picked it up.
Say, I
It
found the
wasn't like
writing and
storyline.
characterization a lot worse in the second one.
Yeah. But I
Like,
mean,
I got attached to no one in that one.
in the second one, yeah.
Mm.
But like to be quite frank, they killed off. Like it is like it would appear to be their go-to style of storytelling is that they'll make protagonist start caring for female side character, side character dies, protagonist then accepts that he must go and kill the bad guy.
But it's okay. They kill off all the females, and that's fine because in this world, they don't have any personality or free will, so it's
No,
fine.
It's again.
One is
archetypical,
literally a
like,
robot.
stuff from the 80s, right?
Exactly.
I mean, there is a whole feminist study that could go into this, but that's not why we're here, so we're not going to do that.
So I believe it's by the guy that did the animation for Ninja Scroll.
Oh,
That makes so much sense. Oh my word, the lighting.
Yeah. And
Oh,
like
that makes so much sense, Chris.
and from what I I could gather, there's not much on this. It's just this was like a like your portfolio as an animator, and people on this project
Yeah.
just used this to show, oh yeah, we could do like an Akira, or we could do like a James Bond thing. These are the things we can do to make an anime.
Yeah.
Ignore the plot
Yeah.
here. There's no actual story here, but these are the cool things we can show you. And I mean that's real interesting.
Please don't pay. Please watch it on mute so that you don't actually take in any dialogue.
get into trouble.
I mean, like the voice acting wasn't awful or anything, but it was just normal people
Okay.
speaking.
The voice acting was a 80s voice acting,
Yeah.
which is its own special thing. But beyond that, the dialogue, I will contend is awful.
Sure. I mean,
The
that
dialogue
might just
is
be you reading the subtitles.
It
as
might
well.
be. It might be.
But on
Was
the
it
other
not-
hand,
was it-
on the other hand,
Was it? Yes, Chris.
I didn't really write down anything specific, but
Was it
I just-
Shakespearean levels of Japanese?
I just noticed that oftentimes, like an English sentence on the thing would just summarize a few paragraphs of dialogue. Because the person wasn't willing to deal with the bullshit that was being said.
I do think the first movie had a lot more characterization and better dialogue than the second one. If only because the second
Yeah.
one's dialogue largely consisted of a woman saying no, and then two men talking to each other. That's it. That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, the story in general was a lot weaker for the second one, I think.
And
But also the characterization. At least the woman in the first movie had like a character to her. Not like a great
yeah.
anything. But the second movie, she literally was like both for and against everything.
She was like the sort of normal old school cop female co-star. You know what I mean?
I felt even slightly worse because as soon as she faced anything, she immediately flip-flopped. So it was just like you could never
Yeah.
say what she was there for. She
Yeah,
existed
well-
to be shot.
No, which yeah, she existed to be shot. She existed there to be as a means for Goku to be shone in, heavy macho light. And that is what she existed for.
But you know what's maybe more
Unfortunately.
interesting than the plot is
Yes.
the end song
Everything.
of this
Oh.
of these
Yes.
two OVAs. It's a real singer, Yuki Katsuragi, and I wondered if like the director had some sort of input into this, and maybe specifically like the screenwriter, because as I was getting to the end of the first OVA, I couldn't just help wondering about the mind space of the person who created this, and how healthy their personality would be. And then got to the end, and there was a song called "Fighting in the Danger," and some of the lines were just amazing. It's like, now let's fight with fighting spirit. Cry for help, fill the city, fighting in the danger. You're not the only one fighting in the danger. And then one of the lines is, I'm going crazy. And the next line is, cry for help. Cry for help. And the lines
Right
lines in
into the
Japanese. I
danger
mean,
zone,
obviously, I'm
man.
translating most of these, right? But like, the lines in Japanese after cry for help is, someone's is a trap. It doesn't it's there's no meaning in Japanese or in English. It's just nonsense by someone who's probably had too much cocaine. Let's see
I've
if
got
I
a
can get
take on the
picture.
first one that I think neither of you two have, so I'd like to say it.
Sure.
I didn't
Yes.
realize I was watching basically an isekai again. Our main character tries to do something well, dies.
That's true.
God
That's
resurrects
true.
him with eyes that analyze anything, a superpower, and a magic weapon. And then he comes back to get revenge on all of the bad guys that messed with him in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, just to give some context to something that doesn't deserve it, it's a grim, dark future in the far-flung year of 2014.
Also true.
And just a side note, there aren't people in this story. There aren't crowds in this version of Tokyo. And it is Tokyo that this takes place in.
Yeah, the first one, absolutely, yeah.
Both of them are in Tokyo. Like we
Okay.
see like the city ward signs and all that stuff throughout.
The second one doesn't actually tell you anything, which is a little bit sad. But
No.
sure, carry on.
But there are no crowds, and there's no explanation to that other than obviously the animators didn't want to have to deal with animating people, I think. So it's like it's an entire futurescape where there's nothing living except for the people who are there to be shot or the people who are doing the shooting.
Yeah, it's very desolate. That is correct.
Like at one point he walks into this underground automated factory and no one tries to stop him. There's no security, there's no attempt at stealth or anything. It's kind of like it's a mechanized like tomb world they live on. Or something. It's bizarre.
The Necrons are waiting to rise.
No, the Necrons have risen and they're just like, well, whatever. These are the remnants. They'll die off. We have bigger turnips to fry or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm overanalyzing this way too much. It doesn't deserve this level of depth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to talk about random things like that in it. I think as we've ascertained, no one was really going for a. I don't mean to be mean to like the mangaka because I haven't read the manga, but no one was going for this like superbly written story. Right?
Sure, absolutely not.
But yeah, I mean the visual aesthetics are definitely interesting. They're out there. They're wild.
I just wanted to get. Oh, another great line from the song is. Iratsu no wa. What's frustrating is what's frustrating. It's so dumb. It's the weirdest.
Yeah.
I kind of love it.
So, I think so. It's interesting if you watch Bubblegum Crisis, which is sort of in the same. I mean, it was also 80s, right? It might be earlier though. They also had like this same style of Japanified American style 80s rock.
Right.
And it has a very specific flavor where it's like always a hybrid of Japanese and English. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense, but it's got to have sexy words in it. It's got to have dangerous words. It's got to have like
this is
sort of visual imagery of damsels in distress and men sort of racing to action.
Yeah,
that kind of deal.
Just to complete the thought, it's the last vestiges of a serious Japan on screen. In its attempts to kind of like integrate with the world at large at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Japan is now, where you get your wiggly cheesecakes and such, right?
Yeah.
And like cute girls in bands and stuff. It's not. This was Knight Rider. This was like Rambo, but he's Japanese, right?
Yeah. And the music as well is like I Need a Hero is very much down that line, right?
A male like testosterone fueled power frenzy fantasy going on here. And that's what it is. It's it might be interesting from like a historical point of view because have we seen something like this in the modern era?
A contemporary work like this.
like isekai power fantasy is like the closest. Maybe
Yeah, I
think
mean,
maybe LaRouche from Code Geass, but I mean it's
No.
so muted.
certainly not.
I'm
Even
just
the
struggling.
bad guys in that weren't like this. I mean, Redo of Healer was basically this.
Maybe, but it didn't have the same energy.
No, sure, fair enough. It made our main
I-
character pathetic, at least.
But like,
so,
yeah, am I thinking right? Is not so much like, is there something that is kind of as violent or as masculine as this? Because I'm sure we could find something. But is there something as dumb as this? Like, even like the modern kind of like power trip stuff, kind of requires you to understand like concepts to enjoy it. I don't think you really need to understand anything at all. Like, like a 5-year-old would be just as happy with some of the action scenes as this as anyone else. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything, to be fair, but I don't watch every single anime thing that comes out. It would definitely be on the bottom of the pile of stuff. This would be very exclusionary for a lot of the audience that's currently like, you know, consuming visual media. It just is, you know.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely not something most people would enjoy. It's kind of like something you could enjoy as a fan of old styles of film, I guess. If you're legitimately into this, it would be very difficult for you to exist in 2023 as a human being.
I do feel like, and I mean this, like I'm happy to be proven wrong on this, but I do feel like the kind of person that would gel with this kind of thing is possibly in like the more red pillish kind of communities.
Yeah, I guess. Oh no, well maybe. I don't know what that actually means, but if they're like
It's just as well
on the like the crazy right kind of like stuck in the 80s.
It's think
It's
about
more man's go their own way kind of situation.
yeah, if you think about like, okay, sort of incel vibes, but not with the sort of incel ethos. So you know, they're not trying to be you know, they're not involuntarily celibate.
It's like incel, but they're also a gym bro.
Yes,
and they also belong to a militia, but the militia is only them.
Yeah, maybe not so much the malicious stuff, because that's also sort of out of the ambit, like their ambit. But it's the like grind. It's like a combination of like the incel stuff, the grind hard stuff, the sigma male stuff. It's like a lot of incoherent concepts thrown into one.
Yeah, look, like you own your own bunker for sure, if this is your jam in this world today, I guess. or you live in a real weird town.
You've got like 5 different side hustles, and you know, you call women derogatory names and things, and you kind of think
did
of
you
yourself as
did you
being a
guys
big
think
macho dude.
the woman in this was like a robot from the beginning? I kind of thought that was kind of lame.
I think she was a robot from the beginning, but when she turned out to be one, I felt a bit better about everything that was happening, because her life seemed horrible.
I guess I was expecting more grimdark, but it was more grim stupid.
That makes
Great.
sense.
Grim stupid is a great way to describe this.
It's like the first Total Recall level of horror.
Total Recall still had more depth, though.
Oh, for sure. But if they made an anime of Total Recall, this would be what it looked like in the 80s.
Oh god, now I actually want that, Chris. I want an anime version of Total Recall.
Well, we'll have to go in our time machine and figure out how to make that work. Anyway, I'm gonna say, yeah, don't watch this. It's kind of a waste of everyone's time that we have even remembered that this exists.
If you want some insight into the 80s, maybe watch this and then realize there are other better things from
If-
the 80s to watch.
If you have
Yeah.
like a 58-year-old uncle and you're struggling to bond with them,
Oh no! Why would you do that, Chris? That's horrible advice.
I put my brain in neutral, and I actually enjoyed some of the action scenes.
Sure.
Well, not a good thing, but like at least parts of it had like reasons to
anything
be
to do with the car was really cool in this.
also true.
But
And
other than that,
missiles that just corporeate.
other than that, everything was a little bit kind of meh.
As a side note, did you guys feel like these movies rather, were designed specifically to make you have seizures?
Yes.
Like if any form of epilepsy exists in you, this movie will bring it out.
I mean, this was before that was really a thing, but
Yeah.
I know, but the flashing was horrific.
Yeah.
And then they did it twice.
look, like Neuromancer had just come out as a novel. People were really into this whole like Neo Tokyo kind of future vibe thing, and flashing lights. That was high tech. By the way, this sort of goes with my hypothesis that you can't invent things in fiction that don't already exist, right? Like this future is just so unfuturistic. Oh, we didn't even talk about his power. His power is he can hack into any computer with his eye. That's where the eye from Midnight Eye Goku comes from. And like it turns out everything in this is kind of integrated into a computer in some way. But but it's all just stuff from the 80s that looks like stuff from the 80s, except they've like slapped a computer panel with a few bleep bloop lights on it. So it's just a bulldozer, but the bulldozer has a computer controlling it. It's just a gun, but somehow the gun has a computer in it. It's just a woman with fuzzy hair, but she's also a motorbike.
And a gun.
And a gun.
With the computer
laser.
controlling it.
Exactly. All those things.
Oh, that's great.
It's
I was gonna say it's just a woman, but slap a computer on her.
the female, not protagonist, but like love interest from the second movie was treated
Yuichi.
so horribly throughout the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she was just
Oh yeah.
relieved to be killed in the end of that. That's
Yeah, it like this is sort of like if you were to look at this kind of thing with today's sort of frameworks, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
didn't it feel like Bio Broly, the second one, to anyone?
Don't know what Bio Broly is.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So
yes,
we had
kinda.
the first Broly movie, and then we had Return of Broly, Bio Broly, where Broly was cloned, and like he was slowly like
He
degenerating.
came back as like a monster type thing that was
Yeah.
becoming like ape-like, basically.
I wonder if that was the concept. That was the concept art for that movie. That they just had additional footage left around and slapped that together.
No, I genuinely think they just wanted to make a monster so that our monster could fight that monster.
And one last comparison. Have you watched Speed Grapher?
Yes.
Didn't this feel like just an
Shittier, dumber
version of Speed Grapher?
I suppose, yeah, it kind of did, but like horrifically.
And so my takeaway from this is, go and watch Speed Grapher. It's better than this. You'll enjoy it.
Do you know what? Have you guys ever watched Heavy Metal,
Yes.
the cartoons?
Oh yeah.
I really almost wish that what these guys did was instead, and I know that they were adapting a manga, right? I wish they took maybe 10 minutes and adapted the manga into 10 minutes worth of these 2 hours, and they made something akin to Heavy Metal.
So I mean,
where
OVAs,
it's still problematic, but it's like never sticking with one concept too long, you know, and visually and aesthetically it's pushing boundaries as it's going along.
Just remember, I mean, Laserdisc didn't even exist at this point, Dylan. Like the purpose of these things was to just take home a visually cool thing that was drawn in the style of the characters you liked, and have it as something you could put on to entertain yourself for a couple of hours. If you actually wanted the story, you'd read the novels, you'd read the manga. very different world that this was made for.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. I will happily agree with that.
I spent 2 hours watching Goku handle his rod, and I'm not sure I feel happy about it.
Right.
So does that make this a 4 for you, Yesh?
No, look, don't look down upon me too much, but I'm going to call this a 5.5.
Okay. You heard
I
it,
wouldn't
you
recommend
heard
it. I don't think it was worth my time, but it was
Oh.
moderately well put together. Like, it made almost coherent sense.
If you watch it on
Almost
2 times
good.
speed, I'll give it a 4.
I think if you want, like I said, if you want insight into some anime aesthetics from the 80s and you are into kind of retrofuturism but done badly, then go for this. Other than that, I can't really find a way to recommend it. Not for today's audience.
All right, everyone.
Conceivably tomorrow's.
Thanks for talking to me about this awful anime we watched.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Bye bye.
Cheers for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.